My weapon costs 1,350 Opticite to upgrade. But which activity now gives you the most Masterwork materials? Who drops the most Forgotten Souls? Where do I get the most ancestral items and as early as possible? And on top of that, how do I level my mercenaries up faster, which gives the most XP that I get the most pale marks, as later the mercenaries just have an infinite level up to give you more and more pale marks. So then buy yourself salvage mats, utility aspect cache, masterworking caches, boss summoning materials, and more. And lastly, in answer to the most important question, how do I finally max out my aspects 21 out of 21? Because honestly, it seems almost impossible to get that 16 out of 16. Let's start with Masterwork Materials Opticite button. This one also answers the question about Ancestrals, Mercenary XP, and in general the fast track to Paragon points. And for Masterwork Materials, we could go Nightmare Dungeons or the Infernal Hordes. The Undercity of Curious is not an option because you will need to get the right tribute, otherwise no Masterwork Materials for you. And I still have not gotten a single tribute of Masterwork Materials yet, even after 30 hours of playing this character. Now in 5 minutes of a Nightmare Dungeon, you can get up to 1,000 Masterwork mats, which does sound like a lot. But if we're comparing this to the Infernal Hordes, 15 minutes of the Infernal Hordes, so 3 times the time, can give you 4,000 and beyond Masterwork materials, while also giving your mercenary more XP than ever. But Nightmare Dungeons do actually have an advantage, because using one of these opals, like Materials, Torment, or even Socket Bolts, does not do anything for you Infernal Hordes. Yes, you gain the bonus XP and the reputation, but the bonus crafting mats, summoning mats, Infernal Compasses, Socket Bolts, bonus equipment, gold, any of these, they're not working in the Infernal Hordes because you don't get any loot in there from enemies. So while you're farming Masterwork materials then in a Nightmare Dungeon, you can actually get bonus Infernal Compasses. You can get more runes than ever because there are quite some elites in there. That being said, these compasses also work fantastic in the Helltide, and we'll get to the Helltide and why you still do it. So that argument is kind of mute because we want to have the most Masterwork materials possible in one fell swoop, especially since if you end an Infernal Horde successful, no matter if it's tier 1, 2, 3, 4, you'll get yourself the chest of greater affixes, and the bosses themselves also drop items, plus always uniques. This is your surefire way to get greater affix items. If I need more greater affix items, I will do the Infernal Hordes because the box has just a guaranteed output. And that guaranteed output of greater affix items also answers the questions to the aspects, because this 16 out of 16 is only possible with an ancestral item, since a normal legendary cannot roll maximum. Look at the intercom aspect here. It says 5 to 10% increased damage on this normal legendary. But if I'm looking into my Codex of Power on the intercom, it says 5 to 13%. Normal legendaries cannot, in fact, roll maximum. In order to get maximum, you will have to get a greater affix item, and that greater affix item has to have the max rolled aspect for you, which makes getting them maxed super hard. Therefore, Infernal Hordes are your friends. But where do we get all these compasses now? And that is where aforementioned Seething Opal of Torment comes in. For the Opal of Torment, you go to any Realm Walker, no matter if it's a Nahantu one or a normal one, and then you're feeding some Sigil powder in there to be able to get your Opals of Torment. And as soon as you have them picked up, you either go into the mentioned Nightmare Dungeon for even more Masterwork mats, or you move yourself into the Helltide area, as there are so many elites in the Helltide that will then consistently drop you more Infernal Compasses. I always have more than I can ever use, and if I run out, it's just a quick run into the Helltide and I'll have more than ever. Now the Infernal Hordes on top give you more XP for your mercs than any other activity. I actually tried to pit the Curious Undercity because the Curious Undercity has the biggest elite density after Infernal Hordes versus the Infernal Hordes, and the outcome was devastating for the Undercity. I get 2,000 bonus XP on my Rahir and 3,000 to 4,000 on my Variana, while an Infernal Horde gave me 20,000 XP on the Variana. considering that, again, the Infernal Horde is 3 times or 2 times as long as an Undercity, it's still so much better to spend your time in the Infernal Hordes with the Ancestrals and with the insane outcome of Masterwork Materials. Considering that the Undercity is completely useless unless you have a tribute. This tribute is guaranteed Ancestrals or guaranteed runes, guaranteed Ancestrals, guaranteed uniques. These tributes is what makes Undercity useful. Without them, do not ever think about ever stepping into a single Undercity. Before you ask, where do you get those tributes? You do Tormented Bosses, Tree of Whispers, that's where I get the unique one from. Just kill the Maiden of the Helltide, Pit Bosses, whatever you do, tributes drop anywhere. They are just simply rare. And that's the thing with the Undercity. Unless I have a tribute, I do not step into the Undercity. But if I then do have a tribute, straight up in there and have a good time. They did also buff Forgotten Souls, and they finally drop everywhere, and we tested what drops the most Forgotten Souls. And in Torment 4, the Hell Maiden does drop 20, so it's really worth it to kill the Lady of the Helltide. That being said, the Hell Maiden in Torment 3 drops 14. So if you can kill the Hell Maiden in Torment 3 by clicking your button 2 times, it might just be better to actually do it in Torment 3 because it's simply faster. And a Tree of Whisper gets you up to 40 Forgotten Souls. If it is a greater cache of Whispers, it's 60 Forgotten Souls. A Tormented Boss, Nightmare Dungeon, or Undercity are only 10 Forgotten Souls, so each are not worth it for the farm. And the Chest of Mysteries in the Helltide is 20, and a normal chest is 10 Forgotten Souls. That just shows us one thing. Do Helltide as much as possible. I am up 700 now, and yeah, I can masterwork everything finally without a hassle, and I only had to spend some time in the Helltide, which you want anyways, as we mentioned, for the opals, into Infernal Compasses, Socketables, and so on, general XP, and to get more Whispers for more tributes. And I know there will be a question about Resplendid Sparks, and right now they do seem to be sadly bugged. There's one you can get from your cache, Destroyer's Cache, as you finish your journey, which is relatively easy this season. There is none from Reputation right now. Our Zakarum Quartermaster has nothing for us, and this Reputation grind is abysmal long. We already reported this to the devs. It is longer than it has any right to be. I'm pretty much almost done with this character, and well, I'm not even remotely close to finishing this. Technically, the Reputation should always keep up with your progress, that you then actually get the items when you need the items. And I've been having opals on all the time. Lastly, you usually get one for killing Lilith, but I tried her in Torment 1, 2, 3, and 4, and there was no spark for me. That might be bugged or intended, and the Tormented Boss spark is gone as well, so you can't just summon any Tormented Boss and then hope for it. We're stuck with currently 1. And that does feel bad, as you only need 2 and some runes to actually craft 1. Your best option is throw on the Opal of Torment and just get tons of boss summoning mats. This is 87 hearts, so we got 50, 50, 33 living steel. I can summon so many bosses at this point that I should be getting a mythic, and we'll actually be doing a live stream where we track this, kill as many bosses to see how many uniques really pop out. Now, if you're looking builds to spend all your resources on, there's a Necromancer with summons, absolutely S tier super fun, or a Gorilla Crushing Hands Brilliance. Yes, no Quill Volley Evade. Enjoy and have a fantastic good time.